Have you got the rest of us and not Damiani?
He's stuck in Resident Evil Village.
Yeah. This is going to work really well for us. Hi, what's up, Racy Allies? It's time to talk about our games of the year. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. If you tuned in all the time, the whole time to watch all of that.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Sorry, Chad. I was saying Blood sniffed it out.
Fair.
Blood called it. Welcome to our Easy Allies 2020 Goatee.
Body language.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
was the original?
I realized a second ago that we didn't have a way to pick order, so I prepared the little spinny wheel. I'll just tell you who goes when, I guess.
Okay. Let me. I didn't know we were even doing that.
I thought you were gonna say nah.
I was gonna say nah. Like
here,
whoever
We
wants
didn't
to
know we
go,
were doing that either. But
just
I mean,
go.
it's fine.
Yeah.
I would love if like the wheel just had like kind of funny members' names on it or something.
So
All right.
I have
Tim,
this.
you're up.
Yeah. I have just before you pick everyone. I got it like this. I don't know if you're watching on the stream, but we got our personal goatees. So I'll throw that text up, obviously, and then I'll pick who's talking. So if it's like was Ben, we'll say like Ben Moore.
Nice.
We got best song, and then I don't know if I'm just gonna put the name on there or the song, and then finally when we get to honorable mentions, we'll have that right there, and I'll just put the game that you're talking about or mentioning. So there you go.
So sorry, we're not doing song after our that'll be a separate thing. Like we're not doing song when we do our personal goatees.
I don't think anyone had any idea.
No,
we could do it that way. I just
I
meant
don't
like,
care. I don't care.
I'm just
Great
putting-
idea,
We're also
Ben.
burned out on
Great
everything
idea.
that we forgot to schedule this
I was-
actual stream.
Yeah, I was.
This is the after party, everybody. This is not.
Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
after party.
I just have
We're
text
just
that I'll
hanging
throw
out
up.
talking
Is what I
however we
meant.
decide to do it.
Yeah, my thing wasn't about format. Just like I have some text to throw up so the chat
Gotcha.
knows what's
I like
going
it.
on. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Puke that text up, baby.
Puke it. Blech.
Bleh.
Bleh, bleh.
Bleh.
Sick. Should I spin the wheel?
The
And we'll do
Sure.
a personal pick.
I wish we could do some lucky hit.
My God, it has sound. Oh my
Lucky
God,
hit?
it has
Pull it up.
such loud
Pull
sound.
up some lucky.
What's first?
I'm
Blood.
first.
Alright, so
Okay.
Bloodworth.
Start
All right.
strong.
So personal picks.
What the-
So yeah, however this lines up, I don't know if it lines up with Damiani's graphic or not. But before I get to my top 10 or whatever, I'll start with the two games that I will definitely finish from 2020 that I have not finished yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I should do it this way.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I'm working on right now, and then
boy.
I'll hop back into Cyberpunk and wrap that guy up.
Do you have an hour count for Cyberpunk?
Yeah,
am I-
we
7, right?
Interrupt you when
54 last week or something like that.
Nice.
And then, yeah, so I guess the bottom of my list is not really necessarily ranked, not necessarily my top 10, but just games that I wanted to shout out for the year that I enjoyed. Bug Snacks at number 10. I know that not everybody enjoyed it, but even though I thought it was a little bit long, I thought what they were going for was fun. I thought it was a neat world to run around in and experiment with and figure out the different puzzles. And of course, the creature designs and the ridiculousness of them saying their names, Pokemon cartoon style. And then, yeah, well, the story definitely a little darker than anyone might expect. I also thought that there were some redeeming elements in that as well. So yeah, I think that's a fun, creative little game. And then we did talk about in our awards, but I just want to shout out Roki again. I like my adventure games, and I thought that one did a good job and was very pretty and had a good story that is worth checking out if you haven't checked it out. My number 8 is Fall Guys. One of the few multiplayer holes that I fell into this year. Kept going back to that. Kept being one of those like just one more run kind of things. I think it's funny because the Mario 35 also came out this year, which is essentially Tetris 99. But I never like fell into the Mario 35 hole the way I did with Tetris 99 and Fall Guys. So
There's an amazing Mario 35 race from GDQ. I highly recommend it. It was
Nice.
incredible.
But I enjoy your affection towards Fall Guys. Like much like when you like a Resident Evil thing's about to happen and you're excited for Huber. You're like, oh, this is gonna be great. Everybody, Huber's gonna love this. You know, it's like you and Fall Guys. It's a match. I dig. I ship that for sure.
Well, it's funny too because it's like I don't get excited for like new Fall Guys content or trailers or season or anything like that. It's just like one of those things like, you know, if I pick that controller up, I'm gonna be playing it for a little bit. Number 7, I'll go Miles Morales. Again, like I was really surprised that felt like, you know, far more than just like an expansion pack. Had really good vibes when I needed really good vibes, being essentially home by myself over the holidays and instead of traveling. And
Cat in the backpack. Shout
cat
out.
in the backpack. It's good stuff. Yeah, lots of good costumes in there. I think I probably liked the Miles costumes better than a lot of the original Spider-Man costumes too. Although I'd always have that like tension of like, do I want to be in a canon costume right now, or do I want to, you know, be in one of the
first costume you get is so weird looking though.
Yeah, you get some weird ones, but once I got that,
Miles is so proud. It's like, I don't know, Miles, you look pretty goofy.
Yeah, it's like you look really dumb with these like bulgy sleeves, bro. Like, what's going on?
but once I got the scarf and the earmuffs, like that was my new canon. Like,
oh yeah, great costume.
This is it. This is
Yeah,
the
that
rest
was
of
a
the
great
game.
moment.
It's a gift, you know. Yeah, gotta sport it for the fans.
My number 6 is Demon Souls.
Woo!
My first time playing through that game was the last Souls game that I hadn't played yet, going back to the original, and so it was cool to experience that and to just really like have something to dive deep into with the launch of the PS5. 5 is Hades, which I'm still poking about at, doing a couple of runs tonight. I've gotten to run with every weapon except for the gun. So the gun's the next on my list. But definitely enjoying that. And all of the different variables that go into it and trying to like whittle down my own style. Somebody wants to see me get mad playing a Souls game. Well, I streamed like 30-something chapters of Dark Souls 3, so go to Easy Allies Plays and watch that.
Wasn't that part of the bet? I made you stream it?
Yeah, you made me stream it like by the end of October or
in the
something.
costume.
That's right.
And you
And
did
I
not
negotiated
phone it in. You did not
I
phone it in,
negotiated to
will
have the
not.
costume only be the first and last stream because otherwise that would have been miserable.
And like Octobers aren't traditionally that cold in Los Angeles. It doesn't really get cold until later in the winter, so it's like I don't remember it being that cold, and you had like furs on, like in the garage, no AC.
Well, it
like,
started in the summer.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that was
Blood-
like
Good costume.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that costume
Laddersmith.
looked like it belonged on you. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah, it
just
was
was
too
like
good.
it just fits so perfectly. It was awesome.
The small ladder was the best prop
It was the
I've
perfect, yeah.
ever seen.
Blood laying dead on one of the streams just like him was also real good. I really appreciated that touch.
My 4th is I think going with The Last of Us Part 2.
Heard of it.
Like I'm not as high on it probably as the original game. I'm not as high on it as some other folks, but I really still appreciate a lot of what that game is doing. The world and the combat encounters and the characters. I think, if anything, like my criticism just come down to it. Like it felt long at times. It felt a little bit drawn out in places. I didn't need to see the aquarium that many times, but I really, really felt like, kind of the intimacy and vulnerability of those characters in a way that few games managed to do. And then, the audio design stuff in that game, man. Heck yeah. Then Animal Crossing would be my number 3 because it's easily the game I put the most hours into. That game just keeps going and going and going, and it was definitely a struggle of figuring out how to fit that into my schedule for a good while, getting all those daily tasks done. And then my number 2 is Ori, which Ori's an interesting game because it's like, it feels like you can underestimate it. It's like even after like I completed it and like once I had some time away from it, like it's almost like you forget how good it is, and it's like you have to go back and do it. It's like, oh yeah, this is really freaking good. It's just so easy to make that feel like less of a game than it is, and it does such a good job in just like the amount of animation, the amount of world building and story and music, and just yeah, it's a really excellent game. And then yeah, my number one is Half-Life Alyx. It feels like the moment VR needed to really move from a neat new technology to, oh, this is a new branch of video games. This is different experience, a groundbreaking new title, and so I can only hope that other games will follow suit and keep that going.
Thank you,
Cool.
VR devs. Hey, guess what I forgot to do in Animal Crossing? Log in on my birthday.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
I saw somebody tweet about it today, and I'm like, oh, that's right. I got to remember. Damn. Oh, well.
Got time travel, I guess.
I guess. Yeah, I guess I could do
Awesome
that.
pick,
Still haven't
Bloodworth.
done it.
Yeah,
Wait,
blood.
Shall I spin the wheel?
Spin
Yes.
it.
So wait, when is the music part? Is that the very end?
I guess
That's right.
we'll-
You missed it. We did
I'll
it. Already.
spin
It's
the wheel.
already Huber.
I guess I'll just spin the wheel again
Yeah,
for
well-
favorite songs.
Something like that. Well, I
Do
mean,
the same order,
Well,
maybe.
whatever.
Yeah.
People
Just
don't have to have
Huber.
ordered lists either.
Just
Huber,
sit like
you are
random
next.
on Spotify or something.
Huber's
Me?
up.
First turn.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We are the bosses of Easy Allies, so I answered no
Damn
one.
right.
So I have a
True.
lot of games here. I'm going to do a very fast lightning round for games that did not make the top 10 because
Sweet.
there's just too many good ones to celebrate in 2020. Yakuza's not on my personal 10 because I didn't finish it. So, Yakuza, Doom Eternal, Hunt Down, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Demon
Hunt
Souls, Astro's Playroom, Half-Life Alyx, Yakuza, Like a Dragon already said, Zombie Army 4, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2, Bloodroots, Mortal Kombat Aftermath, Wintermore Tactics Club, and Amnesia Rebirth. I love you all, but you did not make the top 10.
Is that just every game
I have
you
one of
played?
these too.
No, I played a lot more than this, but these are the games that
Huber
I
has this
really
crazy spreadsheet where he
deliberated.
tracks every game he beats.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I do that too.
I just
Oh, yeah?
love these
We've been doing
games.
that for
respect that.
years.
Yeah, I respect
10
that.
is not enough. My favorite game of 2020 that did not come out in 2020 was Guacamelee 2.
Hell
Shut
yeah!
up that game. Play that game.
Finally.
So good. Yeah, it took me too long, Brad. It took me too long. So good. Okay, top 10. First up, number 10, Mafia Definitive Edition. This is a franchise I have loved for so long. The recent remasters and Mafia 3 kind of dropped my stock in the franchise a little bit, but this remaster / remake basically blew away my expectations. I loved this game, really faithful to the original, and I just love a really restrained open world. Ones with rules, ones where you're not encouraged to lay waste and kill everyone. You got to follow the speed limit or the cops will get you, and you gotta play it cool for most of that game. So I really like that. And Tommy Angelo, I just love that character. Great character.
10 out of 10.
Yeah. So glad you played that, Brett. Number 9, Ghost of Tsushima. I love this game. I would say though, the reason it's not higher, I think, on my list is because I got so strong. Lethal difficulty only came out when I was very close to finishing the game. Because I love how lethal combat is early on in this game. You feel the power of that sword, the power of those duels. You can die so fast. One mistake and you go down. But throughout the game, you keep getting stronger, and the enemies don't really. So by later on, you just cut everyone down. So I think if I'd played the whole thing on lethal mode, might have been higher. Number 8, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Bloodworth,
Nice.
You said it perfectly, man. You underestimate it. That's such a good word for this game. Because I think during the deliberations, too, I had a thought where it was it's kind of similar to just other really, really good Metroidvanias. It's just doing that great. Because I don't know, there's just something about it where everything is just so good. Yeah, it's just this underestimating of it. So, just love Ori. The story, don't skip that. Really
Ori
good.
story?
Ori story. The story in Ori.
Story.
Yeah.
Or
Number 7, Spider-Man Miles Morales. No, flawless game. I have no complaints about this game. I don't know why it's not number 1. It is perfect. I'm not even kidding around. Like,
put it as number 1. It's your
Yeah.
list.
like Game Pro 5.0 fun factor. I think it's just because we just had Spider-Man. Like, I don't know what it is. There's an underestimating of Miles Morales as well, where it's just so damn good, but because it's living in the shadow of the original Spider-Man,
Right.
we write it off. It's just more of the same, and that is a disservice to
Thanks a
how
lot,
good
Huber.
to Miles Morales is. Yeah, it's so good. Number 6, Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. This
Ooh.
is just pure jolly
Holy
vibes. Yeah. I wanted
Why is it
to
not
put it
number 1?
higher.
We don't know.
I
Why is
wanted
it
to
not
put it
number
higher.
one, dude? It's your list.
I love the way that, well, first of all, the music. I mean, you got to just say Kingdom Hearts music is top tier, really
True.
really hard to beat. Some of the best in the biz. But I just love the way this convoluted, unwieldy, massive story is kind of shrunk down into this easier to understand melody. Like, I understood the story more going through this musical version of Kingdom Hearts, and it's just really good vibes. Number 5, Resident Evil 3. A lot of complaints out there. I get it. Cut content, sure. But if you had told me growing up that I would ever get to experience Raccoon City this way, I would take that cut content in a heartbeat. Cut it all. Cut any content you want if you let me walk the streets of Raccoon City with this version of Jill Valentine.
Brad's face right now.
Phenomenal.
You're gonna cut it all. The whole game.
Number 4, Streets of Rage 4. Streets of Rage is back
Yeah.
on top of the genre where it belongs. I cannot wait to see what comes next. If there's going to be more sequels, DLCs, who knows? I heard rumors about some DLC recently. I know they just came out with a patch. It took them a really, really long time to patch it. You know, it's not the biggest studio, but they just came out with a new patch like a couple months back. Streets of Rage 4. Just
Huber,
I cannot.
there's like a VR beat 'em up, and like Scott Pilgrim's back. It's a good time.
It is.
Yeah.
Time for beat 'em ups, man.
The music in this game, everything, the way I think Ben nailed it for Goaties as well when he was talking about Tony Hawk and how it honors the past perfectly, but it also feels so modern and respects like games today. And Streets of Rage 4, just that balance is flawless. Number 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII, huge game, so popular. I didn't like it as much as the fandom. I also beat it way, way later. Played it when it came out, finished it way after the fact because of Brad Ellis. But this is the most I've ever liked it. This is now easily one of my favorite Final Fantasies. Everything about this, just top-notch storytelling, combat, music. I cannot wait for the next part. But at the same time, it felt so complete in a way. Like, I can wait now. I don't know how they nailed that. I'm not like hungry for the next one. I really, really want it, but like this remake gave me so much that take your time, let it cook. Number 2, Hades. Like Bloodworth was saying, just how many variables there are in this game, how every run can feel different, how each little choice on a run can change everything. Do I the way these powers stack on each other, the way I'm building my character, and then all of a sudden I get offered these boons, which can keep building it or take it in a new direction. Do I build my character for short-term progression or long-term progression? Is this just a run to grind for those long-term upgrades, or am I actually trying to finish this? Maybe that entire dynamic changes because I've all of a sudden gotten so strong. Maybe it's like, dude, screw it, let's just try to win. Hades. Also, just a beautiful marriage of this genre and storytelling. The way this story is told, just piece by piece, putting that roguelike element of repeating things into context. So great. Number 1, Last of Us Part 2. Not the most original game, but absolutely my number one. It has my favorite characters, my favorite story, my favorite world design, my favorite combat encounters, my favorite bosses. Like, this game just, some of these moments hit me harder than any video game moment in a long time. I think of Jesse. I think of Abby. I think of a lot of things when I think of this game. I love it so much. The combat is high stakes, and I love just how every combat encounter really matters. Just the way stealth, like I'm always a big fan of stealth and action, like doing something in stealth and getting like caught or something and then having to go action. I just love that vibe. And we've heard a lot about Last of Us. Good characters. You love them, you hate them, you do you. It is what it is. Love and respect. That's it.
Nice.
Well
New
presented.
list,
Good job,
Huey.
Huey.
Good. Feels
Thank you.
good.
Woo! Fun.
Brad,
No fun.
next.
Oh, it's my turn.
That
All right.
feels right.
Yes. Let's see. Okay, I got quite a few honorable mentions. I'll just do pretty quick, like Huber. Streets of Rage 4. Loved it. Only played it once with Huber, but it was great. Also, Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. Haven't finished it yet, but it's been a real pleasure just going back to that soundtrack. Sackboy Big Adventure. Had a really good
Nice.
time going through that game. Had a lot of fun playing it with Kristen. It was jolly times. Ghost Runner. A sick parkour, almost Hotline Miami, one-hit you're dead action game. Super fun. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. I love old Castlevania games, so obviously. Cyberpunk 2077. As much as I had issues with parts of that game and as many hoops I had to jump through to get through stuff, I really ended up enjoying the story. So, still had a decent, pretty good time with it. Resident Evil 3 Remake. I like this game. I played it a lot. I do got some problems with it, but I still think it's a really fun game. So yeah, all right, let's do this. Number 10, Last of Us Part 2. I had problems with this game, but I had a really great time going through the gameplay, going through these encounters. I felt the high stakes. I don't get that a lot. I thought it was really well crafted. A game, even if I did have problems with the story, but I still think it was a lot of fun. Number 9 is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Great Metroidvania. I think it fixed a lot of the issues I had with the first game. Just better boss battles, better world, better combat, better everything. Really emotional story, too. Kind of caught me by surprise. I feel like a cheap trick, but I loved it. Number 8 is Yakuza Like a Dragon. I've played a lot of Yakuza games in my life, thanks to Huber and Ben. And man, 7 was great. New, great main character. I think whenever you have a new character in Yakuza, you got big shoes to fill. And I thought Kasuga was great. I love the new combat system. Yes, I think it has room to improve, but I think it was nice and refreshing. Love that world, love those characters, all that good stuff that you want from Yakuza. Number 7 is Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I never played the original game. Because everyone knows I had problems. I thought it was ugly. But they fixed it. They addressed my issues. So I owed it to the game. Came back, played it, thought it was great. I think it holds up real well. Super long, but I really enjoyed that game, and I was honestly kind of surprised how good it was for how old it is, too. Number 6 was Hades. I like roguelikes, but I'm not like a huge fan. But something about Hades just kind of really pulled me in. I think it was maybe just a combination of everything, the world, the gameplay, the weapons. I think it was great. I wish I got to play it more. I only got to beat it like twice, but I thought it was really awesome. I think it's a great introduction to roguelikes too. Let's see. Number 5 is Demon's Souls. Y'all know I love Souls games. Yes, this game feels like it's from 2009. Of course it does. But can't help but going through it. It looked beautiful. One of the best. It was the PS5 showpiece for sure. It was just great to return to Boletaria with a new face of paint. It was cool. People just playing this game again, getting into invasions and stuff like that. It was a moment in time I'm glad I got to experience again. Number 4 is Doom Eternal. goddamn, this video game is so fun, man. Going at 100 miles an hour, ripping demons' faces off, shooting them with the shotgun is nonstop fun. This game literally made me fatigued physically after some encounters where I'd have to take a short break because it was so intense. But I loved every second of it. I need to go back and play the DLCs, but man, that game was great. Number 3 was Ghost of Tsushima. I do have some problems with this game, but I just enjoyed my time in this world so much. I thought the world Sucker Punch crafted was just so pleasant to be in. I would say I just loved being in this world. I think they did a great job with the combat. Actually had a lot of variety. They did add the lethal, which was there, but I thought some of the duels of that game were a ton of fun. It really showed off the combat in great ways. Plus, they added that multiplayer, which was super fun. Like, I had a lot of fun playing through it. I haven't gotten to do the raid yet, but I thought it was really well done and just a super pleasant surprise. I don't think anyone expected it to be that good. Number 2 is Half-Life Alyx. Not a huge Half-Life fan growing up. Played this game. Now I became a big Half-Life fan. This game is probably the best VR game I've ever played, I would say, too. I don't think I've ever played a game that's quite sucked me in the way that Alyx did. I think everything was just a mastercraft of execution, from the counters to the puzzles, the pacing. It's just a fantastic game, and I'm kind of shocked it came from Valve after all this time, and it was that good. So it was great. And number 1, of course, is Final Fantasy VII Remake. You know me, I love that game. It's not perfect also, but man, that game, from where that game was and what we thought what it might become, it became out so much better than I could have hoped for. I know it's controversial, but I do love that they made a bunch of changes, and I think it's nice and refreshing. And it's making me even look forward to part 2 even more, because yes, I have an idea of where things are going, but man, I can't wait to see what they do. And that combat system, those bosses, man, literally the only time I've gotten emotional all year is from that game, and it's just from looking up at the plate above me when I first got out of the train at the beginning of that game. Like, that's a special moment for me, and I'll never forget that. It took me back. It's not the same, but it gave me similar feelings to when I played the first one. So, I love that game. And that's my list.
Good list.
Art, baby.
Okay, I'm
It's a good
spinning
list.
the wheel. It's a good list. Ben!
This seems almost like scripted with this order. This is fun. I had a really hard time narrowing it down to 10 games, so I also have some shout-outs that I'll just go through very quickly.
Hell yeah, we're our own bosses, Ben.
Exactly. Thank you. Demon's Souls. It was the first Souls game I ever played. There's a guy that I used to work with at a local game shop in Iowa. He kind of showed me the ropes of Souls, and I've loved it ever since. And it was a pleasure getting it to revisit it. I think part of the reason it's not on the list is it didn't really feel like a 2020 game for me, and a lot of my appreciation for it didn't feel rooted in 2020, and so it didn't make the top 10. But I still had a bunch of fun going through it again, regardless. Same thing with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Xenoblade is one of my favorite games of all time and one of the best RPGs I've ever played. It really is just so ambitious in what it does, and I think the way that it utilizes its world is so captivating and fascinating, and you know, that game is monstrous, but I had nothing but a smile on my face, like, going through it again, except for some boss fights. Some boss fights were frustrating, but for the most part, I had a smile on my face. RE3 Remake, I love Resident Evil. I don't think it is as good as RE2 Remake, but I still had a great time going through it. Jill Valentine is my favorite Resident Evil character, and I think what they did with Jill in RE3 Remake was just great. I love her personality here. I love her interactions. I really like what they did with Carlos as well, and I just had a good time. It was something that I burned through really quickly, and I just had a good time doing so. Disaster Report 4 is not a good video game.
Nice.
And
You heard it here, folks.
it's not a good video game, but it is a special game in the sense that it is really unique, and it made me laugh. And it just has this undeniable heart to it that I just can't let go of. And the Disaster Report 4 video that I did in 2020 was one of my favorite things that I worked on all year. Maybe my favorite thing that I worked on all year.
Ben,
So,
I want that on a box. I want that on a
what's
box.
that? This is not a good
Disaster
video
Report
game?
4 is not a good video game.
Yeah, it's
not a
not.
good
It's not a good game, but I like it regardless. The Destroy All Humans remake, I really liked. Had a good time going through that. Such a weird, quirky game that I had fun playing through. Crash Bandicoot 4. I really wanted this one to make the top 10, but it just didn't quite get there. But as somebody who kind of grew up with the Crash games, but I was not very good at them, and then revisiting the trilogy with Insane Trilogy, I kind of rekindled my love for Crash, and 4 kind of set that through the roof. I liked a lot of what they did. I thought the level design was largely great. I really liked the new characters that you could play as. And the mechanics that they were presented. Really good time. Final shout out is Tony Hawk. I loved Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 so much as a kid that I wanted to be a pro skateboarder. That game means a weird amount to me. And I've enjoyed Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 and 3 and other games in the series, but I've really felt the lack of Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk games were just so incredibly good and so frustratingly squandered and just like rotting away that to see 1+2, the remake, come out this year, and for them to nail it as much as they did really warmed my heart. And I think even if you have never played these games before, they still absolutely hold up, and it totally deserves your attention. Number 10 is a game that I have a lot of problems with, and I am disappointed by in some ways, but I still can't deny that it was one of my favorite gaming experiences of the year, and that is Animal Crossing New Horizons. It was my wife's favorite game of the year, and we really bonded over it. And just her sending me things in the mail and just interacting with each other, or getting excited when we caught a fish that we'd never caught before, or a bug, or getting a new villager into town. I really enjoyed and cherished those moments quite a bit. Number 9 is Yakuza Like a Dragon. I definitely have problems with the combat, and it's kind of the thing that holds this game back from being higher on the list. But this might be my favorite Yakuza cast that I've ever experienced. It's just incredible. I think every major character, especially kind of the core group, brings so much to the table, and the way that they interact and the journey that they go through together is absolutely amazing. And Ichiban is just unreal. The way that his story ends up is incredibly emotional. And as Brad was saying, in a series that is stacked with excellent characters, I think Like a Dragon still manages to make an incredible impression. 8 was Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and I definitely agree with what Huber is saying. It's kind of weird. In a weird way, you could just kind of write off Ori as like just another Metroidvania, or like, oh yeah, the first one was good and this one is good too. But I think that kind of undermines how excellently crafted Ori and the Will of the Wisps is. I mean, not only is it stunningly gorgeous in a way that words cannot possibly do justice, they so aggressively introduce really wild and fun new mechanics throughout the entire course of the game, and I feel like what you're doing changes up as much as each area changes up visually, and it just makes it so much fun to play and very difficult to put down. Number 7 is Spider-Man Miles Morales. Boy,
3 of us have that at number 7 now. It's hilarious.
I didn't even notice that. Miles Morales is... I think it is easy to just go like, oh yeah, it's great because 2018 Spider-Man was great, but I think Insomniac are wizards, and my wife, even when I finished it this last weekend, and my wife just kept saying to me, like, you just keep saying how incredible it is that there's a Spider-Man game this good. Like, you just keep saying that over and over, and I really can't believe it. Like, just everything from the characterization of people like Miles Morales, the Tinkerer, his mother, his friend Genki, like everybody is just so believable and wholesome, not in a way that feels fake or insincere, but provides like this sort of optimism this like genuine optimism that I think is like really necessary right now. And I feel like it kind of conjures the feelings that superheroes are supposed to conjure, or that they did when you were a child and you felt like you had people to look up to. Both the 2018 Spider-Man and I think Spider-Man Miles Morales totally accomplished that. And yeah, I love that game. Number 6, we're getting into hard to order territory now, but 13 Sentinels is my... I love what they did with this story. I think just the story itself is just so interesting, but the structure and how they do it, like I feel very similarly to Danganronpa with 13 Sentinels, where they just had me on the hook so hard, and I just so desperately wanted to know what was going to happen, that I just like aggressively was going through the game. And I am blown away by how they handled 13 individual characters so well, how they were able to change things up tonally between them and still have it feel cohesive was amazing. And I think a lot of times, well, maybe not a lot of times, but kind of the fear of a story where you're sort of worried about how it will reveal itself. Like it doesn't live up to the buildup. And 13 Sentinels definitely did for me. The answers were extremely satisfying and not easily predictable in a way that I really enjoyed. Number 5, Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's weird just saying the title of this game. I remember the tech demo for Final Fantasy VII on the PS3. Final Fantasy VII was the first Final Fantasy I ever played, and it meant the world to me. And I feel a strong attachment to that game. But I think why it's one of the best games of the year is it's not just a 1-to-1 remake, and that it takes risks. And I think that makes it feel exciting in a way that Final Fantasy VII originally did. I think what is so remarkable about Final Fantasy at its best, and why it has the fan base that it does, that will endlessly argue about things online, is that it never stops pushing. And I think 7 Remake kind of carries that sensibility forward, and I really admire it for that. Probably not higher on the list because the story isn't finished yet, and I have some questions / concerns about where things will go. But as a first step, I very much enjoyed it. Doom Eternal, number 4. In a way, I am amazed that this game is not number 1. I think this is like, yeah, yeah, I know. But the other games, it's hard, okay? You're making me second guess myself. Doom Eternal. So 2016 was a super surprising delight, and Doom Eternal was not just Doom 2016 again. And I know that wasn't great for everybody, but boy, it sure resonated with me. I really, really, really like shooters a lot, but I find shooters are often very boring. And there are a lot of times I'll pick up a shooter and I'm like, I feel like I've already played this. And Doom Eternal is not that, in a way that seems to fly in the face of every conventional piece of wisdom that you see in shooters with as big of a name as this. It is unapologetically demanding, and it does not coddle you. It forces you to engage in the game and try things and not be afraid of failure. And that is a kind of design that I've always really resonated with, and that makes Doom Eternal so satisfying to pick up and play or try on a different difficulty. And it is a game that I think, with patience and practice, anyone can enjoy, and I admire that the feeling that it generates when you get there. Similarly, number 3, Hades. I I think a lot of what I was saying about Doom Eternal can be applied to Hades. I am in shock at how good this game is. It rarely do games nail storytelling and gameplay so well and so seamlessly. The way where it chooses to integrate things, it feels like the designers of Hades, Supergiant Games, looked at every nook and cranny of what they had, and they were like, how can we do something meaningful here? And that's exactly what they did. I feel like I could play Hades forever. Like, every weapon is fun in its own way, trying out all the different builds. The way the game is randomized, you have runs where you just feel so powerful, and that's really exciting, and you don't want to lose, and you have runs where you're like, this build sucks, let's see how far I could get, and you surprise yourself. I was not expecting for Hades to be as emotional as it is. Just truly some of the best art in the entire industry. The soundtrack is, dare I say, underappreciated. That's how good it is. It like just every element of this game, I really don't know what to complain about all that much. Second is Last of Us Part 2. I really love Last of Us 1, and I get, in a way, kind of the divisive response around Last of Us Part 2, but I think it is one of the most challenging and interesting stories that I want games to challenge me. I want them to be bold and ambitious with the stories that they try to present, and I think Last of Us Part 2 did that. And the way that it represented the trauma of its characters and the consequences of actions is something that I really thought long and hard about. And I think that was blended very, very, very well with the gameplay. And I think the structure of the game actually worked a lot in its benefit. Seeing two sides of this story, but not just leaving it at their individual stories, letting them branch out and become fully fledged people. Like Abby's interactions with Lev, I think are some of the best moments in that game. Yeah, I think it's tremendous. But my number one game is Half-Life Alyx. Like Final Fantasy VII Remake, but even more so, I am dumbfounded that Half-Life Alyx exists. I almost feel like talking about it will like make it go away somehow, and that it's like a dream. Half-Life 2 especially was a game that absolutely blew me away, and it was one of those games where I'm like, oh, like video games could be better. Like they can tell stories in a way that feels unique to video games, and Half-Life Alyx brings that forth, and it is absolutely incredible in VR. And I really desperately wish more people could enjoy it, because not only do they make everything just so incredibly immersive with how they present it. We touched on this in the Game of the Year conversations, but I feel like the designers are always so aware of how you will approach the game, and they've just iterated on this thing endlessly. So more often than not, when you try to do something or you want to do something, they're like, we thought of that and we'll reward you for doing so. It was something where I felt like things that I was doing, or just tiny, tiny moments that I had, were entirely unique to me. And of course, that's not true. But the fact that Half-Life Alyx was so able to convince me of that, I think speaks wonders of it. And I swear to God, Valve, if it's another 12 years or whatever until the next Half-Life game, I'm going to lose my mind. That's it.
Okay, good job, good list.
Did it.
Damiani
And like, I think you
turn.
brought up a good point there, kind of subtly, is that like, because I think some people get kind of rankled because it's like, oh well, I can't play this, or not very many people can play Half-Life Alyx, and it's like, like us giving it an award isn't like trying to hold that over your head. It's like, we want everybody to be able to play this game. However.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Whatever
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
takes, for there to be a cheap headset that doesn't make people sick, and like, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I genuinely wish more people could play it because I think they would love it. I really do.
Got that just straight FPS version of it.
But yeah, I don't
Somehow.
really go for
Yeah,
that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
But-
that could work, but
I don't know.
Surprise us, Valve.
Yeah. Damiani's next.
Yo, I think I came up with 10. I got some honorable mentions as well. Shout outs to Immortals Phoenix Rising. It wasn't a great game, but I think it was a good foundation that Ubisoft can build upon. And I'm surprised no one tried to make a Breath of the Wild style game. The game seemed caught between a rock and a hard place with either it was being compared unfairly to Breath of the Wild or as a Breath of the Wild game or another Ubisoft open world game, and I don't think enough people give it a fair shake. The writing's not for everybody, but there's definitely room to improve on that, and I hope they give it another shot with a sequel. Obviously, it came up before Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Was my game of the year when it came out back in the day. Just glad Nintendo's giving it another shot. And if you missed out on it on Wii or the 3DS port, which you should absolutely avoid, this is the best way to play it. And you get some bonus content. Nicest looking version, the best version of the music, and you get an extra side story to kind of wrap up a character who might have been a little bit neglected towards the end of the main story.
Wasn't the 3DS Xenoblade port only a new 3DS?
Yep,
Yeah,
well, it's new
it
3DS. Yep, so a little limited. Talking about limited games. I know this didn't come out this year, but we played so much of it, and I want to join the bandwagon, give its dues. Dark Souls 3.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, not much else to say. That I get it. Fantastic. And similarly, shout outs to the patch 5.2 through 5.4 content of Shadowbringers. The true ending of that story is probably you want to talk about people who can't play stuff. I know I didn't get to play Half-Life Alyx, and I know 14 is an immense time commitment, but that payoff at the end of Shadowbringers' story, the actual proper resolution, is masterful. Very emotional. I think I've shared tears watching other people cry at the same points that made me cry as well, so it was pretty good. Before I get my top 10 really quick, 5 games that prove Nintendo hates you. Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light. You spend more time in that game doing item and inventory management than actually playing the game. Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Inverted camera controls by default. And Where's Galaxy 2, you monsters? They did fix the camera controls, but it wasn't in there in the beginning. That's monstrous to do. Super Smash Bros.
Wait, Damiani. The Fire Emblem thing, because I actually like the gameplay. The Fire Emblem thing that got me nuts is, did you have the audio clicking issue, the crackling?
No, didn't have any of that.
Ooh.
I played it exclusively on Switch Lite and handheld mode, so I don't know if that might have.
Maybe you just can't hear it out of the speaker. But
Maybe.
yeah, it would crackle like crazy. And if you wear headphones, it can get gnarly.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Byleth instead of Edelgard. You goofed on that one, Nintendo.
That's a goof.
Hyrule Warriors proves
you're
again.
damn right, Damiani.
Hyrule Warriors post-game grinds can really suck. They give you a tracking item, and when you need to track items and the entire map lights up, that's really useful. And finally, Super Mario 35, you penalized me for taking shortcuts. You suck. All right. Top 10, Animal Crossing, New Horizons, coming in at number 10. This is a game that consumed me for about a month. I love how it just makes me obsessed with, this is my island, you can do what you want with it, and you get so weirdly and passionately attached to these activities and making it your own thing, and it doesn't let you go. And I'm kind of glad I walked away from it after a month, except to maybe check an update here and there, because I think it would make me have unhealthy gaming habits if I stuck with that game for more than a month. But, props to a game that can captivate me like that. Also, a very nice, diversion from the world in 2020. Astro's Playroom, coming in at number 9. I am not a child of PlayStation, but this game was the closest thing to giving me that glimpse into what it would have been like to have been raised on PlayStation. on top of being a fantastic platformer, and those DualSense controls, man, I will take more of that if they got some sequels in the works. And just like I know I couldn't play Half-Life Alyx, I couldn't play the original Astro, so this made me extremely happy. I got to sample some semblance of what was offered in that. Yeah?
Sorry to interrupt you, Damiani, but you know how they're making like a Marvel What If show?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like Damiani What If, but with PlayStation. Like,
That would be
different things would be.
very different. Very different. Yeah, Spyro and Crash. I'd be all about that. I mean, kind of am. Number 8, a game, a remaster, Pikmin 3 Deluxe. This is the first Pikmin game I actually played through. Absolute blast. So addictive. I want more of this game. There are 2 previous entries, and I cannot wait to try those out when I can get my hands on them. But man, the way you manage your Pikmin, the way the levels evolve by giving you increasingly more types of Pikmin and different activities to manage, plus that time limit, it's like just the right amount of pressure. And that final level, great props to them on disguising it. I didn't know it was the last level. I was like losing my mind thinking I was going to fail. And then that sigh of relief when you're like, no, you're okay. You get multiple cracks at this. You're good. You didn't lose all your Pikmin because you ran out of time. Number 7, Hades. I think Brad said it as well. I'm not the biggest fan of roguelites in general either. This game did its best to disguise the things that I have that just don't speak to me in a roguelike. And I find myself constantly seeing other people play this on stream, and then I'm like, I gotta go play this again. In fact, just this weekend, Maximilian Dude and the Yo Video Games guys were streaming it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna fire it up and play while they're playing, while listening to them talk about Hades while playing Hades, because once you beat it, man, like it's just like a quick little 30-minute or less, replay through, and it feels so good going in with a different type of weapon, trying out the different combinations. It just offers so much different variety for the play styles, and it's just really fun. It's just really fun to play. Coming in at number 6, Resident Evil 3. Man, I was talking about being consumed by a game. This game was just like, let's keep playing this over and over and over. And I understand it's not the same thing as Resident Evil 2. I understand it's living in the shadow of Resident Evil 2. But this game offered me something that wasn't in Resident Evil 2. And I really appreciate that. It's really hard to say... it's hard to say one is better than the other because they're trying to do 2 different things. I think Resident Evil 3 was trying to do its own thing, a more action-oriented thing. I am bummed they cut out things. It would have been nice to be a little bit longer. But man, some of those, just being chased around Raccoon City and some of those boss fights and those I'll never forget the burning building sequence. Don't care. That's one of the most iconic things I've seen in 2020. So good. And yeah, replayability. I love games like Hades and Resident Evil 3. Replayability to the max. I think I got up here. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Okay, 5, 4, 3. Oh, I don't have 10, I guess.
Even though I just talked about it myself, that whatever you just said, I need to go play Resident Evil 3 now.
Yeah.
I guess take each number I did and subtract 1. I guess I only have 9. I must have deleted 1 by accident. I can't remember.
Jump to 4.
So number 4 is Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. A lot of you already spoke to its strengths.
The full title.
Yep.
Marvels?
Respect.
Miles Morales.
Look it up under M, suckers.
You talked about costumes. I know we already got out of the way the cat in the bag, the backpack. That was mind-blowing. But that Into the Spider-Verse costume, just mimicking the animation style, like the lengths they went to have that authenticity. I just had so much fun going through that game. And man, I harped on post-game content earlier, but this game, the mission you do, will not say anything else other than it's a must-do. You must do that final side quest. Holy crap, the emotional feels you get for that. That's the type of stuff I want to see when you finish a game. Also loved going through in Christmas time. Great stuff. Number 3, Ghost of Tsushima, duels. Every single place I went to, I was seeking duels, man. That game just does it so well. Walk up to a fort, I get angry if they don't give me the duel prompt. I will reload, go back in like, no, we are doing this duel. I don't care if I lose. It's a pleasure to lose to you. Except for, was it Kenshiro, whoever the asshole was in the cave? That guy sucked. I hated that guy. But man,
that fight.
and I love how they did the side quests and the storylines with those characters. You want to learn more about them. You get to explore their backstories. If you don't want to do them, then you know what? You can ignore them. And some of those legendary moves, man, you become an anime character in that game by the end. Number 2, Ori and the Will of the Wisp. Yeah, I think everyone said a lot of great things about this game. I think the only thing I want to add to it that hasn't been said is, man, I was a wreck by the end of that game. I think I wasn't as emotionally hit as hard in a feeling of sadness than maybe, like other games come to mind, like Link's Awakening and the like ending of Rhyme. It's like, this is like, was brutal, and in a good way though. And man, nothing feels as good as traversal in that game when you have everything unlocked and you're just like leaping off everything, bouncing off projectiles, grappling stuff. Man, the grappling thing is so good in this game. And I just love that the combat flowed perfectly with your platforming mechanics. I was concerned about that, but man, they nailed it. Also, bringing all those villagers back to the hub village. Caring about that. Caring about the world. Love that. Finally, number 1, Final Fantasy VII Remake. That we said a lot. I could spend 10 years talking about this game, but that ending, man, it made me so angry at first, but what a 180! Now that like I've like had so much time to see everyone's thoughts on it, I'm just like, this is the perfect choice. This is exactly what I was asking for. I was asking for them to not literally remake the game 1-to-1. And you know what? The payoff, we still got to see where it's going to go. Obviously, it could end up being disastrous, but man, they've set themselves up for some like extraordinary stuff in the future. And dude, I never believed I was going to play a game that looked like better than Advent Children. I'm going to go back in time and tell myself, dude, you're going to play a game that looks better in real time than Advent Children. Like, take your disc, snap it, throw it away, just like be ready for 7 Remake.
Burn your Blu-rays.
You don't need that movie. It's like casual compared to it. That's my picks.
Okay. Good list. Good list.
Good list.
Getting it out there. Damiani, I'm really happy you brought up the final side thing that you can do in Miles Morales. Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Jones is next.
Yay!
This wheel hates us, Don.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's the best for last, baby. Don better be the last. Don better literally. We've been waiting all this entire stream and then this video
we know
and
who's
everything.
your favorite now.
It's all leading up. You bet. It's all leading up to Don. Hey, we're our own boss, right, Huber? So I'm gonna do mine a little bit differently. I'm not gonna mention in my top 10 any of the GOTY noms. I'll go through those super quick. My 5 is Tsushima. My 4 is Last of Us Part 2. My 3 is Miles. My 2 is Animal Crossing, because that game with me this year was. I feel okay. I didn't go on my birthday. I missed some days of Christmas, but I played a lot of that game this year. And thanks to the community for making that really special. And Half-Life's just like the hype is real. That's definitely my one. I went into that Game of the Year deliberations so nervous because I was like, I'm gonna be the only one that really thinks Half-Life is that special. So it was nice to hear all of that stuff. Huber, I would put The Last of Us at number 3, but like by the time I was done with Last of Us Part 2, I was like, I don't want to play this game anymore. I was like, stop hurting each other. It was kind of like Requiem for a Dream or like Platoon. Like, one's enough. I'm good. It's like I don't need to go back. It's just not so. Is this recreation? What am I doing to myself? Like, it's just, brutal. And Miles just made me feel good. But my top 10s, not something on. And 13 Sentinels I didn't play, but everything else that we nominate for Game of the Year, amazing. Number 10. I have a lot of issues with Watch Dogs Legion, but shout out to the attempt. There's some really cool stuff. It's like Shadow of Mordor. It's like, this is not a great game, but it's a fun idea. Like this is, do that again. Do that like 2 or 3 more times, and then you will finally nail it. But like the product that they actually made, I think has issues. Shout out to Pathless at number 9, because I feel bad. I didn't fight for it when we did 7 and our best 7. And as somebody who plays a lot of open world games, I just want to say that feeling that you get in an open world game where you're like, oh wow, I can see really far. Pathless kind of bumped that up a notch. It really just did that. Like that was the main reason I stuck with that game. That's the main reason like I scored it the way I did. Now that everything else was like really kind of far, but that and the music, everything like the storytelling, the boss fights, everything else was kind of just I thought average in my opinion. But just man, like sometimes when you get a lot of verticality and just like this world is just insanely big. I can't believe it's running this well. Number 8, Phasmophobia, a good horror game. Thank you. Like a really, really good horror game. And it's funny that it's always like the jokey, weird, indie, not looking great all the time horror games that like really land. It's kind of the same thing with movies. It's like that weird one indie wacko who just makes something like so visually arresting that like you kind of laugh at it most of the time, but then it will chill you 1, 2, or 3 times more than anything else ever could. Like there were moments in Phasmophobia where my brain was like, anything could happen right now. And then like when I finally saw a ghost, I was like, haha, like that looks ridiculous. But like, whew, I got chills playing that sucker and really appreciated it. I wouldn't have spent 117 hours with Assassin's Creed Valhalla if I'd not enjoyed it somewhat. My goodness. I kept on going. And shout out to the mysteries. Tsushima's my number 5 on like my GOTY list, but the mysteries in Valhalla I think were better than a lot of the Tsushima stuff. A lot of Tsushima stuff was like, help my family. And then I was like, oh, they're dead. And he's like, I would run away crying. And I'm like, sorry. Like there was like,
that's in Valhalla too, dude. Oh,
but the
my
ones
dad dropped. Your dad's dead. Okay,
but
bye.
There was just a lot of, just a bigger sense of unpredictability in Valhalla. Like I really had no idea when I would hear somebody like help, I'd be like, where is this gonna go? Like kind of Red Dead. Like, and it was the first game since Red Dead that really had me guessing or really wondering, like, you know, being surprised, really enjoy, like seeking those out, kind of being bored with the story at some point, like the main campaign, because I was like, the campaign wasn't as good as that weird little like reference I just did. Number 6, Demon Souls, the second Souls game that I actually like.
Dude,
like,
Joel's putting a Souls game on a list. Feels good.
Happy
Feels
now
good.
that we have concluded GOTYs that I can stop playing that game. Maybe I'll get back to it someday. But yeah, that game got me. I think the only like major criticism was just the AI was so. I felt like I was being relentlessly hunted in Bloodborne, whereas in Demon Souls, it's like I'm really only in danger if I put myself in danger, which you have to do a lot of times. But there were definitely dudes that were like throwing axes at me through a stone wall, and I was like, you missed. Number 5, Resident Evil 3. I felt bad when Huber first said, when I got the script, and I was like, here we go. Or I think Huber, you mentioned in Slack, you were like, finished it in 1 sitting, feels bad. And I was like, oh no, like, I knew it was going to be shorter, but 1 sitting, like, And then my second thought was, yes. Like that, I'll have that beaten by the end of the weekend. Yes. Like, it just, yeah, I thought they could do more from a critical perspective, but like, I loved it. I for sure, at number 4, and the only person that we'll be bringing up, Marvel's Avengers, and here's why. Now, I dropped off really hard from Marvel's Avengers. Super hard. And so I think in contrast of so many things that game gave me that no other comic book game has ever given me, and then my interest just ended. You know, like that game got me through a very stressful move. That game did things. That's really the most fun I've ever had playing Iron Man in VR next to Disney Infinity. I love Cap. They just need to like, you know, release stuff. They just need to get going. Like they were like, oh, I'm okay. I'm curious. What else you got? And nothing was the answer. I was like, all right, cool. We'll see what that game does this year. Number 3, shout out to Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is in VR, which I've only just like dabbled in. But
it's in VR too. Ooh, wow.
But that game is probably the only sim that's really gonna bite me outside of like the SimCity Sims franchise, and in terms of me like playing as much as I did, and from an open world fan, but like respect. Like that's just it's so unique when you are just like 30 minutes into a flight and just and you're like looking at the window. It's like, what is this? What weird gameplay experience am I having right now? And that was so special and such a massive file size. Damiani also referenced it too, and I want to give a shout out to Immortals, man. Immortals is really great. I feel like it's an open world team that's like, oh, we can have fun finally. Like we don't have to worry about making any of this realistic or serious or make sense, or like if I want to put a tree right there, I'm gonna put a giant tree right there. I don't care. Like even even Breath of the Wild was kind of stuck being like, well, everything's kind of ruins. Like people live in cities, but like a lot of the stuff you see out in the world is like very bleak. And it was like a theme park. I've just never played an open world game like this. Everything is so fast. Like the way you run is fast. The way you navigate the environment is fast. The puzzles are fast. It's just a really clever, really just, I feel like I'm eating junk food when I play an open world game. You know, it's just like, you know, throwing 8 Pez, you know, things back, you know, just, it's so good. And number one, I'm again just kind of like Pathless. I'm sorry I didn't fight for it as much as I could, but I think that's the main issue facing this game. Is just a round of applause for Dreams, just for existing and for pulling off what they did this year. But I haven't really gone back, and I have to ask myself why. And I think one of the things that Dreams didn't. It's funny, like Dreams was like, we're going to close that gap between the people making games and the people playing games. And I think it was the wrong gap. I think the gap they need to close is the people who are making games, they're fine. Don't worry about them. I think the people playing these games and the people who don't own Dreams, you need to that's what you really need to focus on. Some of these games need to be just free on PSN. Like they just need to be like, it's free. I don't even need to buy Dreams. I can just jump in and play this game. Like they need to be spamming these games out because the stuff people are making, like Twitter is the biggest advertiser of Dreams over Dreams. Like no one's going to the Dreams channel. Nobody's logging in each week to check the stuff out. It's just every now and then, you know, it'll trend for some reason. You'll be like, what the hell? And it's a bummer because it's just, it's really crazy. I remember like the first time I ever played Animal Crossing, like on the GameCube. And I was like, it'd be great if I could just make a couch. And like, here we are. Like you can just make a thing. You just make a thing. And it's just kind of like Half-Life Alyx, just like, you know, giving Watch Dogs Legion a shout out for, you know, inventing something new in the open world genre, even though it was flawed. We've hit that point. Like you know, Dreams can only get better or people can only build on that idea, but that idea exists. And I think it's very impressive. They did that. So those are 10 weird ass games.
I need you to explain your list to me again real quick. So those were not
no
your
Goaties.
actual top 10.
No top 10s that were mentioned in our 10 Goaty nominee list.
Okay.
It's everything else. So, you know, Final Fantasy would probably be my 6 behind Tsushima.
Well, we don't get to hear your real
Hades.
list, Jones.
Well, I haven't talked about
Your
Tsushima,
real
Last
list is
of Us 2 Bios,
apparently a secret.
Animal Crossing, and Half-Life Alyx. There you go. Just had to get, you know, Avengers in there somewhere.
Very confusing list. Good job.
I enjoyed
Okay,
it.
I loved it.
I enjoyed it.
Don or myself? It'll be Don.
Ah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jones.
very disappointed. Very.
Do you guys have a wager on that? Ready? It's gonna be quick and painless. I didn't pick 10. I've got 3. First off, Streets of Rage 4.
Nice.
Upholding the legacy and ultimately exceeding expectations. I don't know how hard it must be for the developers to come off something like that where there's the well-established legendary trilogy. Not only are you dealing with that, but then you've got the span of time between them, and then you've also got the aging genre that it's a part of that really isn't what it used to be. And to be able to absolutely pull off what they did, which was not just, as Huber said, a nod to the past, but it brought it forward into modern gameplay and just is pure fun and beautiful in every way, and it satisfied the original fans, I think, and anyone playing for the first time would probably be wrapped up in it. The length and then the challenge was a just perfect sweet spot, I think. With this kind of genre, it's like, right, you want something you can get through in a few hours in an afternoon. You don't want to spend too long on it, but at the same time, you don't want to feel gypped. And they really, you know, before you'd get maybe 7 to 10 levels on most beat 'em ups. So this one was stacked up. They gave you enough of what you wanted, but it still wasn't too much where you're having to come back to it again and again. It's more about coming back and trying to perfect it. That goes into replayability, finding the secret levels and wanting to go through and get all the unlocks. I mean, really fun to go over and over again, just like the old ones, which is so hard to pull off, I think. And the art style, again, just because in pre-release, the images we saw, everything, you know, anytime you have a well-established, especially it's going to be pixel art, you're saying, how are they going to do this? Modern, are they just going to make it like a mirror version of what it was? And I was nervous when I first saw the images. I said, this looks maybe a little too cartoony, maybe it's a little too soft or goofy edge. But then immediately, first screen, you're playing it when you're in the game. It's not that. It was just the absolute perfect tone, perfect edge to it, and really beautiful animation. In fact, the whole art style I loved. So, and one other thing about it that I think they did so well was the way they made it really actually feel like a connected city, like one world that was actually all part of, so often with these kind of games, especially in the past, you just get the random, docks, sewers, right? All these things we need to hit. And like, yeah, maybe they're in the same city, who knows? This did such a remarkable job of connecting everything, whether it's like background elements, characters coming back within stages, certain things repeating, tied it all together, and it really felt like you're actually in one big connected city, which is really fun for that kind of thing. Coming right on the heels of that, before I even got the chance to play it again, Hunt Down. We all knew that was coming. Yeah.
Yes.
We're all happy about this because it's the story of an underdog hitting a home run. This tiny team, Easy Trigger Games, coming out and just releasing a perfected game for what it is. The atmosphere in this game is like nothing I've played in quite a while, to the point where it's like any screen, any level, any moment, you could take a knee and just absorb the atmosphere. I mean,
we should have talked about it more in world design. I think that was a mistake, because I remember when we streamed it, there were so many times it's like, is that a this? What is that? What is that thing in the window? Is that a poster for this? Like,
is that
so
kind
many
of thing.
Easter eggs. Yeah,
I love looking at all the tiny little details, and it's the same feeling you get, when you watch any movie that has a really intoxicating sort of setting. It's a seedy city, something you just want, and maybe you don't want to live there in real life, but boy, is it fun to be immersed in it for a little while and just absorb it, even just passively, to just enjoy what it is there. And the level design in it was really remarkable, because it can be either, it's arranged in a way that you can either meticulously explore every little detail and go really in a plodding, slow way, or really it's designed to have a really slick game flow to it, for speed running essentially. And that's a very, very difficult thing, to have both of those elements, I think, especially in 2D level. Streets of Rage is excellent, but it certainly doesn't have that variety available. And it's super fun to be able to approach it in both ways. The weapons, the unbelievable abundance of weapons. I mean, you always at any time have a choice basically between which weapon do I want to choose. It's like you've always got something, but there's such a balance between every single one of them. And it's just, each one is more fun than the next to play. And you just never get tired of running through the levels and experimenting. Let me try this way. Let me, and it's just was extremely satisfying. And lastly, it's just a retro game that really didn't require any nostalgia to enjoy it. You didn't need to lean on any elements of the past to be able to appreciate it for what it is. Anyone that really has no experience with, that genre, 90s beat 'em up, anything like that, could go in and I think really enjoy this game, which is a hard thing to do. And so Hunt Down was a masterpiece. My last one that I'm going to talk about real quick, because we're our own bosses, Tropico 6, okay?
Nice.
This is an important... I didn't get to play this game until this year, okay? So it was a 2020 game for me, but it's a perfect game for this year, this crazy year of 2020. It was one of the most satisfying things, really cathartic experience for me.
I bet. Yeah.
It's first of all, it's the best looking sim game, maybe other than Flight Simulator. I think this possibly could be the best looking sim game ever made, and I think that has a real value to it. Okay, just from the beautiful color palette in this game, just saturated, lush tropical setting, to all the beautiful, focal and distance effects with the camera and everything, to the fact that you can get right up into the detail of the buildings and the people and the network, to like all the way out to your archipelago, the whole island chain, and just see it at a distance. The art style is absolutely beautiful. And what it is, the legacy of Tropico, these games are always about, mainly about being a dictator. But what I really enjoyed about this one was it really split the line evenly, where you have, you know, you can choose what level of you want to have an authoritarian society, or you want to have a completely free society, and how many millions of shades in between. And they do this by having this really complex system of a constitution that you get to draft as your civilization progresses, and you know, you get to decide what sort of things you're researching in order to what sort of rights you want to open up. And but you really, it's a game, the reason I appreciate it so much, especially in this year we just lived through, is it really is a simple way of experiencing, I think, why people in power are so tempted to go towards authoritarian rule. And you see in a very simple way, like, because of how the game is designed, why power, you know, feeds off of authoritarian rule, because in so many ways it's so much simpler. All the systems, it's much easier. It's an easier path to have success. And it was such a fun thing to struggle with the game and to try to create a civilization that was as free as I wanted it to be, but not have that difficult chaos that goes along with it.
Right. That's what Anakin Skywalker says in Attack of the Clones. I've been saying this.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry, Don. Continue. I'm sorry.
All right. Anyway, I'll wrap it up quick. Speeches. I love the speeches in this game. Being able to choose all your topics, what you wanted to, the issues that are important to you, and then having accountability for it was really fun. It's just, I guess it's a hard thing to describe, but you have essentially certain items you can choose to make priorities, and then your people will respond to you. You know, if you don't follow through, there are consequences for it. And just the trade agreements and building infrastructure to support it is just a beautiful system they had that they laid out. I think it worked really, really well. Really satisfying balance between city building and political management. And I had a ton of fun with it. And that's all, those three. Obviously, there are quite a few others that are fun, but those are the three I wanted to highlight. So,
Thank you, Don. And
propose
Don,
a new
it did come out
category.
on Switch this year. So
that's
I don't
why
know.
I thought it qualified, right?
Yeah.
I say we have a new category called Best March 2019 Game of 2020, and then it counts.
It did come out on Switch. That's a qualifier for sure in 2020.
Just or best game from the year before is pretty funny. Like 2022 rewards, be like
is
the best
pretty
game of
good.
20. You know, like, best game of 2020 and 2021.
Even though I'm the only one on the wheel, I'm spinning the damn wheel.
Spin it.
Who's gonna land on? It's me.
You'll see that name come up. Yeah.
Don, can we just have
Everything's
a
coming
collective
up, Ian.
moment of appreciation for Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath?
Oh yeah.
Oh, Aftermath. God, I'm going to have to add that to my honorable mention.
It was neat, Ben, going back to the additional content discussion when I cut it and seeing it at the beginning, not knowing, just being
That's
like, oh, let's see. And somebody's like, oh, Mortal Kombat. Why don't I just add that to the conversation? And just like how that conversation evolved.
So good, Ben. You're absolutely right. I completely forgot about it. Now that's number 4 on my honorable mentions.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That is Deadly
Thank you.
Premonition 2 number 5? Chad was wondering.
No.
I'll get into it.
Enough said. Do it, Ian.
I'm surprised you didn't mention Airborne Kingdom though, Don. All right. Like everyone else, we're our own bosses. I got a grip of shout-outs. Also, I'm sure you'll notice some glaring omissions. I did beat those games. I just whatever. Leave me alone. Okay, shout-outs begin. If Found, I started and is cute. I haven't finished it yet, so who knows? Actually, a weird theme of this year is some of my favorite games of the year I haven't finished yet. But there's a big difference for me between games that I haven't finished and still love and I'm super engaged with and like super want to finish, just haven't had the time, and games that I just drop like a hot bag of rocks. And so continuing my shout outs, shout out to Clubhouse Games, Worldwide Classics, 51 Worldwide Classics.
Nice.
Silent Consonant, you hear? Shout out.
Mahjong, baby.
Mahjong! Don't know what the hell I'm doing on that thing. Shout out to Deep Rock Galactic, which 1.0'd this year. Just a cute little fun game.
Nice.
Miles Morales, I've only played like the first couple of hours because my PS5 kept crashing.
Yeah, it's not a fair
So
game.
I-
It hasn't treated you well.
So I liked it. I just have no idea of what you guys are talking about. It feels bad, but I really like the first hour of Miles Morales. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 was real cute. I am so bad at it. Little Hope is terrible, but I had such a hoot playing it with Huber.
Those box quotes.
Yeah, what a ridiculous game. Desperados 3 would be on my top 10. I just feel like I haven't played enough of it to really fully solidly put it on there. I've played like the first 4 or 5 chapters and I just loved them. Desperados 3 is so good, and if I'd had a chance to play more of it, I'm certain it would have been in my top 10. Certain.
Thank you, Ian. I forgot about that game. Desperados 3, dude. Yes, thank you.
Desperados
thank
3,
you, thank
dude.
you. Yes.
It's incredible.
Clean game.
Shout out to Grindstone, just a cute little weird, not really a match 3 game, but it's a match as many as you can game and then kill them. Shout out to the video game version of Wingspan. I thought it was a very good board game, video game conversion. Didn't come out this year, I don't think, but the Mysterium video game conversion is actually really good too. Quick shout out to Murder House. Huber and I played the prologue and I really loved it, and I want to keep playing it. This is a theme for me. Like, I want to finish a game, but I need to finish it with Huber. So
that might be my favorite
House.
Title of 2020. Murder House.
Oh, Murder House, yeah. Shout out, of course, to Phasmophobia. Deadly Premonition 2 is bad, but I mean, I enjoyed it. It was ridiculous. 1 is better. Call of the Sea, just like Murder House, I just really anticipate finishing it. Huber and I got to sit down and stream that sometime. And then I added it during our discussions here, but I wasn't going to talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake, because it's a weird one for me, because Final Fantasy VII was one of my favorite games of all time. And Remake had some of the highest highs and some of the lowest lows for me of the year. Like, I think there were obviously some moments that were just like transcendent, like the music, the graphics, that one scene that I really love, the ending, the fact that they changed it so much. I just loved all of that. But then there were 5 or 6 times while I was playing that game where it just felt like such a slog to me. Like, it was like bashing my head against a wall to try to get through it, which is weird and doesn't seem to be a common occurrence. A couple friends of mine experienced that as well, but I'm the outlier amongst these fellows in that regard. But Final Fantasy VII Remake, obviously pretty rad. And now for my top 10. Number 10, Neo 2. I love this stupid game.
Dude, I should have put Neo 2 in my shoutouts. Good call. Good.
Yeah, dude. Neo 2, man. The little Kodamas are so bloody cute. I love them so much. And they're just so... And Sudama, yeah. They're just so great. Didn't beat it, because the game is like 1,000,000,000% long and hard as a button. But just Neo 2 is fantastic. Plus, I love that you can create your character in it. And I'm for sure going to get the PS5 redo, and hopefully the save transfers, and then I can just continue where I was, even though I probably won't remember how to play. Number 9, Resident Evil 3. Obviously inferior to 2, but that's a realistic remake of 3. It's like it's always been inferior to 2. Like, and I love it. It's short, it's amazing, but just Jill is such a goddess. Like, just so incredible, and like she's just so cool in this. Yeah, and just she's so like cool and like deals with everything under pressure, and I don't know, she's just super awesome. Plus, like, that game just looks so good. RE Engine is like my favorite freaking engine, man. That shit is nuts. Death Stranding's engine is pretty cool too. Whatever, I forget what that was called. Fox engine? No. Whatever.
Yeah, that's not.
No.
That's the old one. That's the old one.
Yeah.
That was the PT engine, right? Decima, yeah.
Decima. There we go. It's like on the tip of my tongue.
Number 8 is one that I haven't finished, but I've played like 6 hours of it, and I'm loving it so far, is 13 Sentinels. I'm just very excited to see where this thing goes. And my friend Jason Wishnov says that he really likes the ending, and like Ben talking about how it wraps up and answers questions well and stuff.
I'm so happy it didn't get spoiled for you.
I anytime anyone brings up 13 Sentinels, I look away from chat. You know, not that I think that you guys would spoil anything, but yeah, I am very into 13 Sentinels. Number 7, Airborne Kingdom. I don't know if you can finish this game, but Don and I streamed this a couple of times, and oh man, it's gorgeous. It's interesting.
What is
it's
it on?
Really
is it just
cool.
PC?
We played it on PC. I don't think
so.
it's on anything else. Yeah, I think it's just PC.
I get.
It's a city builder in the skies, basically.
Yeah, I might have to.
It's fantastic. Yeah, Airborne Kingdom might be on Switch. If somebody feels like looking it up, let me know. But yeah, Airborne Kingdom, it just looks really cool, and like it's a neat spin on a city builder to have to manage tilt and lift and fuel consumption and stuff like that. It's really cool. And the story is neat. Number 6, Amnesia Rebirth, baby.
Ooh.
I really liked this one. I'm a big fan of the Amnesia series. I didn't finish 2, but 1 is one of my favorite horror games of all time. And yeah, I really liked it. Obviously, it's not perfect. It has some weird parts, and it gets kind of like bonkers toward the end. But like, I don't know. I really liked it, and I played it with Sophia, and like we were just kind of like playing through it together, you know, and it was nice. That's like the only way I can get through a first-person horror game. I'm trying to play RE7 right now, and I'm just like too scared. First-person horror, man, it's too scary. My number 5, yeah, and like Ben said, this is where the numbers get a little hard to order, especially these next 3. Like 5, 4, and 3 are kind of tied for 3 for me, sort of. But my number 5, I guess, is Half-Life Alyx. And the only reason it's not up higher is because I haven't completely finished it yet, just because I don't actually have VR. I just have to use either Funhouse's index or our index when I have a chance, you know. So it's not something I have like access to all the time. I have access to it for a few hours here and there. But that game, even in the amount that I've played, is just like so next level. I feel very fortunate to have access to it at all, because I appreciate that financially it's ridiculous. It's like a $4,000 game, and or like $1,600 game, I guess, like minimum. And also, like, a lot of people just can't do VR, and that sucks. And I wish that there was a way that they could. But the story, the way that it immerses you, and like, and like Brad said, like, I'm not a huge Half-Life person. I've played a little bit of Half-Life's 1 and 2, but never. I was always way into Portal, obviously, and like not that into Half-Life. So Alyx is incredible. Number 4 is Hades. I'm bad at it. I have to keep going at it. I haven't beaten it yet. I haven't gotten out or whatever, but I just love it, and the game is so good. And I mean, everybody said everything about it already. Number 3, this is an interesting one, because it was sitting at my number 3, and then I moved it to like number 9, and then I was like, no, and then I moved it back to number 3, and that's Demon's Souls, because obviously I love Demon's Souls, and I think what Bluepoint did with it is visually and audibly one of the best looking and sounding and feeling games I think I've ever played. And like the haptic, the vibration response and stuff, like when you light your sword on fire or hit things, is super immersive, really cool. I like the way that they use the speaker on the controller. Like, everything about it is super incredible. But playing it with the fresh coat of paint, after years of having not played it, really pointed out to me how old and weird and kind of clunky the game is. Like, it's clear. So, and like, obviously, like, I'm a huge fan of From Software games, and I know a lot about them, and like almost everything in this game is just like, oh yeah, cute. That's right. I remember this was your first try at that. And like, you've tried this you've tried Blighttown 5 times, and finally got it right in this one. but it sucks here. Like, or like, wow, most of these bosses are pretty stupid. Like, it's a really weird game because a lot of times in Souls, like the bosses are the walls, whereas here I think the environments and the enemies in the environments are actually way harder than the bosses. Like every like I beat on my first try like all but like 4 or 5 of the bosses, and like that's not my experience typically with Souls. Like I'm not very good at the bosses typically. But yeah, I mean it's gorgeous. It's a ridiculous, old, new, beautiful, clunky, weird, perfect game. My number 2, and I kind of feel bad about this because it's my number 2. I really, really loved this game, and I forgot about it until 2 hours ago. And I wish I could have brought it up during Best Narrative. I knew the whole time during our deliberations, I was like, there was something scratching at the back of my head, like the sound from Amnesia, you know? And I was just like, what am I forgetting, dude? What am I forgetting? Paradise Killer. This game is super good, real weird, super interesting narrative, really cool characters, and just a really good implementation of detective mechanics. You really have to think things through, and like I've played a lot of games with detective mechanics before, but they always feel kind of like you just kind of didn't notice this thing, and so you were missing that clue and this blah blah blah. This one I like went out of my way to find everything, and I was very proud of myself because when it comes time, so you spend the first chunk of the game researching, looking for clues, interviewing people, and then at the very end you have to do the trial, and you basically have to like present all your evidence. And I was really proud of myself because I'd basically cracked the case myself in my head before having the game like confirm it for me, which felt super good. I felt like such a cool badass, like a smart, cool person. I just noticed that chat mentioned Kentucky Route Zero. This was not on my list, and that's kind of, and I loved it. I loved Kentucky Route Zero. Didn't make my list because part 5 was, I think, just super short, and I think if I'd played through all of it and then hit number 5, I think it would have resonated way more. But Kentucky Route Zero is phenomenal. My number 1 is Animal Crossing, like, which is shocking to me. Like, if you told me at the beginning of the year that this would be my favorite game of the year, I would have not believed you, maybe. But just like such a perfect game for this year. I mean, I said it in the entry that for the Goaties, but like, it's the game that we needed this year, you know, and like it feels so nice. And I've played Pocket Camp, you know, and I've played like 2 minutes of New Leaf or whatever. So it's like kind of my first real Animal Crossing game. So I didn't come in it with any baggage or whatever, but it's just like such a great way to like, you know, obviously my girlfriend and I like played a lot of it together, and it's just meaningful on personal levels and stuff, but it's also just a fun game with horrible quality of life problems. And
bad quality of life game that improves your quality of life.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's 2020, you know, it came out in 2020, so it's got to have something wrong with it. But that's my list. Yeah.
Woo! Good picks. Damiani, get that second graphic ready.
I feel like I would really like Paradise Killer. It looks awesome.
You would love it.
Yeah, it looks very strange.
Yeah.
Probably will too.
Super weird.
It is its own thing, for sure.
It's like such a weird, thirsty, like strange ass mystery game. Do we want me to roll the wheel again for a song? I imagine this part will go a lot faster.
We can just do the same order.
Okay.
Oh,
I think
okay,
it would
cool.
be fair.
Yeah, that seems fine.
It's been a while since we've heard from Blood, so it'd be fun to go back to the top of the list.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Give us your song, Blood. Or
Need to
songs.
grab some water, BRB.
Yeah. So basically, the way this ended up working was Damiani had created this amazing giant list of songs. I only threw on like 2 at the end when I was going through some soundtracks. And then we got into discussing them, and we were like, this is going to be weird and difficult to try to whittle this whole thing down. So we just decided, like, hey, we'll do it on personal picks. we'll pick 1 or 2 songs per person and just kind of highlight them. So the 2 I wanted to go with, number 1 is, and these aren't like ranked against each other either, is I'm Ready, that pops at the end of Spider-Man Miles Morales. Like, not only is that like written for the game, but it just hits so right. It just feels just perfect. It gets the vibe right. It gets everything up, communicating like how you want to feel at the end of that game. And it just, yeah, I even like it like how we were talking about things, like how you kind of forget how good things are. Like, I go back and I listen to it again. It's like, oh yeah, that is good. That really just, yeah, fills you with the kind of like the hope for where Miles is at, for where the series is going. It just, yeah, it's a good tune. And then the other one I wanted to highlight, which was difficult because there's a lot of things on the Hades soundtrack that I really, really enjoy, both instrumental pieces and the ballads. But the one I kind of want to go with is Good Riddance.
Dude.
And what's tricky with this one is that if you just listen to the album version off the soundtrack, you won't really get the full picture because it's part of the storytelling. And so you hear Eurydice singing it to herself when you're going through Asphodel, and then later on, after you work with some side quest things, you do a few runs, and you hear Orpheus singing it kind of almost out of the blue, and that sounds great. And then, yeah, I guess the album version is like a spoiler for me because you hear both of their voices on it, and I haven't got to that part of the side quest. But, I'm looking forward to the moment that actually happens. And I get to experience that version of it in the game, and whatever other versions there might be. I might be missing another in-betweener there. But yeah, those are the 2 that I wanted to highlight.
Nice. Good pick.
Nice.
Huber, what are your picks?
Picks. So the what's the word I'm looking for? The parameters
Song?
were weird. Yes. So the parameters were weird. Does the song have words? Does it have no words? I don't know.
You're your own boss.
We're our own boss.
We're
To
our
me,
own bosses.
Yeah.
if it's a song in a video game, it
Below this
counts.
category, wide open, Huber.
I got 2. One Winged Angel Rebirth.
Yeah.
Like,
That's right.
if this was fortunate enough to be in a Star Wars movie as opposed to Duel of the Fates, it would be the premier song to Duel 2.
Did John Williams write this?
This is the absolute culmination, the pinnacle of music during a fight. This is it. This is it. Damiani's excitement too when he was talking, like, in Cody's, I think you were talking about, like, you think it's gonna hit, but it doesn't. It's no.
Oh, because of the layers and the different phases of the fight. Yeah.
Delays. Yeah, it's so good.
Unreal energy. Like, I can't even handle it. And then, speaking of energy, my number 2, which is really my number 1. I just picked 2 songs. No order. That was my 2. This is my 1.
We're our own bosses. Yeah.
For pure nostalgia, but also not. They're back in Streets of Rage 4. Yuzo Koshiro lent his talents to that soundtrack for just a few songs, and he does the first stage, and that's the most important to me because when that song hits, like, you know it immediately. Your first punch in Streets of Rage 4 to that soundtrack is so magical. It was like transporting me back to the 90s, but modern times. Like, it sounded old school, but it is like just so perfect for this game, for the art style, for everything. It gave me an energy similar to One Winged Angel. Just made me want to slam thugs on the concrete. Just boom. That's it.
Good picks.
Thank you.
Brad.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna pick One Way Angel too, but Hebert great job. Just get into it. I'll pick one of my other ones from that game, and that is the Genova song. Kind of for the same reasons of building up. That's literally one of my most hype moments of the year, is that just whole encounter, the music building up, just kicking in that third phase where everyone knows that little... Oh, it was so good. And my number one is an old song. It's been done a million times, but it hit in a different way than it usually does, and that's Dearly Beloved from Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. Usually it's a very emotional, kind of slow piano song. This time around, it was just a super upbeat, kind of jazzy version of the song that I did not expect. Just made me feel good, man. Like, it wasn't really like...
It's one of the ones where, like, you start talking about, like, I just started hearing it. Like, I'm jamming now.
Yeah, it's like not incorporated in a crazy way or anything with the game. It's just a sick jam that just made me feel good, and I just get happy thinking about it.
Nice. Ben.
So heavy metal is by far my favorite genre of music. So my picks are a little slanted in that direction. But the first song I want to highlight, my number 2, is from the Dune Eternal soundtrack, The Only Thing They Fear Is You. This is a song that you hear quite a bit. I love everything about it. I think its title is amazing and perfectly sums up the entire attitude that Doom Eternal is going for. But just, man, the way that guitar hits, like, it's do 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 do. Like, I just feel like he's like picking the strings so hard, like he's fighting the music in a way that is just phenomenal. It gets the blood pumping. It's the perfect thing to kill demons to. It's just an exciting, fun song.
I think
What
that's
did you
just
say
like
during deliberations, like jergers. You're like, those are some good
Yes.
jergers.
Yeah.
But just quickly, I think that's just like the perfect title for you as the Doomslayer in that game. It's like
Yeah,
the most
exactly.
accurate name possible for that entire game.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely, man. I totally agree. But my favorite song of the year is from Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. Bury the Light. Virgil's song, and I think the whole thing in Devil May Cry 5 with the music is dynamic to how well you're doing. It's a really brilliant idea, but I think it works the best for Bury the Light when you are like climbing up the ranks and that music starts pumping. There is no other song, like even more than Doom, that like pumped me up as hard as this one. And Virgil is just such a fun character to use, even though he's not really that different from 4. I think like every time it came on, I just got excited for the song itself.
Ben, I played only a little bit of that game, but I will say this in the not an insult. I mean this in a good way, dude. I just felt like it was anime time when I was fighting that music kicked in. I was in an anime fight scene.
Yeah, the song is cheesy as hell, but it's like perfect.
Yeah, it's great.
It's anime time.
It's anime.
Damiani, what were your 2? What are your 2 from your big list? I can't wait.
Well, obviously, one of my picks was the one, One Winged Angel Rebirth. I think might have been, my favorite song. We've said a lot about that one. The 2 I want to give Spotlight to. Sorry, I'm also linking chat these as we're doing them so they can kind of like listen. First one, probably the second pick would be it's Time to Fight, the Bionis Shoulder version of it from Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Future Connected. That flute at the beginning and then going to like jazzy, like upbeat battle theme. That's like the antithesis of like the battle themes from the main game, which is like so heavy sounding. And then like when the like kind of choir part kicks in at the end of before the loop, it was just, it just took me away. It was very impressive and just shows how this game, man, I cannot wait for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and what they got in store for that game's soundtrack. I I do want to mention there was one troll entry of all, like, I wanted to see who would pick it out from the allies first, and Ben Moore was the first to see it and goes, "You cannot pick this song."
Damiani, I thought you were 100% serious. I was like, this is hilarious, but we can't do this.
Yes.
But it is very funny.
Yes. The best thing to me about Dragon Ball Z Kakarot was the fact that they got Chala Head Chala full version, recreated in-game engine in the game. That is just a shout out to that. That's like
Best video game song 2020.
Just a masterpiece right there. Timeless. Man, they did that. Like, this is what Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games are missing. They're missing those theme songs. Anyway, the second one I want to give a shout out to is it was really tough because there were two songs from this game that I keep going back and forth over, which was my favorite, and it's just really hard to pick one. But I think at the end of the day, I think the more impressive was Return to Oblivion, composed by Masayoshi Soken from Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers patch 5.2. It is the final theme to the final raid boss of oh, that's the wrong one. Did I just link to the Edge by accident? No, I didn't. Okay, good. Whew. Thought I linked the wrong one. Anyway, it is the final theme of the raid. It is basically a reworking of the Primal Shiva theme that you played all the way back in A Realm Reborn. So they take it, they did new lyrics to it, they didn't add a second layer rearrangement at the end of it during the transition, and the lyrics are actually about the struggle that's going on with the character who has to become possessed by Shiva, the struggle between these two entities during the fight, and, you know, who's going to become, like, the dominant force. And it kind of goes along with, like, the theme of the fight as well, with, like, this ice, and, like, the theme of Shadowbringers is, like, the light, the flood of light is bad, and, you know, dark is actually good. And, I don't know, it was just hype. It was just, like, a hype final fight for the raid tier, a hype song. And, yeah, the lyrics, I always love finding out the lyrics when they put them out. To the Edge was the other one from Final Fantasy XIV, which is a massive spoiler what that fight is in, and you should probably, if you're gonna play that game, you should go experience that one for yourself.
Who
Nice.
next? Good list.
I have 3, but 2 of them are not from games I played. Shout out, I believe it was Mr. Cone Man that brought his version of "I'm Your GPU" from Astro's Playroom to the showcase, which is the first time I heard that song. And that kind of had like Still Alive vibes. So I was like,
oh my gosh, yes.
This is really great. Just something special that can really stand out. Or just really one of those moments where you just like, I have to stop and listen to this entire song. This is really great. And I was really surprised when I was going back and looking at trailers. I was like, oh, I gotta have the Bugsnax trailer in there. And then I watched like that trailer, and I'm like, oh wait, this trailer's actually not really great. It's that damn song. I think it was like kind of why Ian, you were surprised about Bugsnax, and when we talked about it, we're like, yeah, it may not have been the game that we thought it was going to be, but like, man, it was a smart idea to write that song. Like, man, that was such a great angle for that game, and it's just funny to see something that's, you know, it's just like, well, we all have varied opinions on Bugsnax, but that's just a fantastic song. Those were going to be my 2. I had not finished Tsushima by the time we sat down for deliberations. I finished Tsushima, I think, 2 days ago, and like that again, Valhalla's really great. I probably had more fun like devouring the map in Valhalla, but like that story, like when it got to credits, I was like, shit. March on, dude. Like he's oof, like just that hers wailing in those credits, like that. Wow, like that. Musically, there's some really strong emotions that I felt in that campaign. That is a very dramatic, almost in like not really a level as far as potency, but just like a direction that movies usually take me in. Like that was just such a cinematic game. And such a well-accomplished story. Like the stakes are so high, the characters are going through such incredible, you know, heartbreaking things in that game, and it ends in such a satisfying conclusion. But like, not a lot of people win. You know, a lot of people have to sacrifice a lot to get through that story, but it is just embodied so well in that score. Well done. That's my music. Dawn, you got any spicy picks?
I'd recommend the entire soundtrack from Huntdown. This is Tommy Gustafson, all synth. It's so good. If you want me to recommend 2 tracks from it, I would do the #1 Suspects. This just has this insane 80s sci-fi vibe to it. Just slow plotting build up, just gets you pumped up, makes you want to climb out your kitchen window in the middle of the night and just go explore the city. And then you got Heat Seekers. This is more of like a grinding guitar again, synth metal, just so great, kind of death race vibes. Makes you just want to get out on the open freeway and floor it in the middle of the night. That's all.
Nice.
Good list. Good list.
Well, I wasn't prepared.
No, yeah, we dropped the ball. We didn't get done.
Yeah, we didn't tell you about this probably. Okay, so I also have 3. Well, I had 4, but I mean everybody's talked about One Wing and Angel Rebirth. I figured people would. I actually thought I would only end up with 2 because I thought Bloodworth would take my number 3 song, which is Odin's Ride to Hell from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, a game I have never played.
Very good score.
But the score is phenomenal. I was cleaning my room the other day and I let that entire Wave of Giants album by dude's name I don't remember, like Einar Selvik.
Yeah, I think it's Einar.
Nailed it.
But yeah, Odin's Ride to Hell is bonkers. I mean, it's the first track that that starts the Goaty video. You know, Blood and I were both just like all about this song. Really love it. But yeah, everything on that Wave of Giants album is super cool.
Yeah, it was one of those funny things, Ian, whereas like I wasn't thinking in terms of song, right? I'm just like going through soundtracks and like, okay, I should listen to Valhalla. I had it when I bought it for Huber's review, and I'm going through and I caught some of the earlier ones that he had done, you know, that had the vocals and stuff. And then it's like, oh, I should, you know, check out best song and like let me see what else, because I started picking up to like anything that had his name on it would have vocals. And then I got down to that one and I'm like, holy freaking crap.
Yeah.
You know, and then I looked up the YouTube video just so I could add it to the spreadsheet, you know, and so everybody else could listen to it. And I found the like lyric video and I like watched the lyric video and like see the whole like story and everything that it tells. I'm like,
it's badass, yeah.
Holy crap. And I'm like, I gotta get, like, it was like 3 or 4 in the morning and I'm like binging soundtracks. I'm like, I gotta get my wife to listen to this thing. Come over here and listen to this.
Yeah, I definitely sent it to Sophia.
Yeah.
Apparently, I just learned this. Apparently, Hubert's the Vikings composer.
Oh.
Is this guy, Einar Selvik.
Yeah, dude, similar.
Yeah, I mean, I like. What?
Similar, like vocal, like
right?
Lyrical, like grunting. A lot of like God of War, like chanting, but like grunting, but like, speaking all at the same time.
Well, and I love stuff like that. Like I like Hell Young and like Fever Ray, the theme song for Vikings. Like If I Had a Heart, like so good. Anyway. Yeah,
I really
like
want Hubert to make a chanting / grunting Viking song after that. Yeah.
We should, dude. We should get Luke Arnold and do another thing, because he and I did that 15 men on a dead man's chest thing.
Only if we edit it like a 90s music video.
I'm so there. Yes.
Okay.
Sign
me up.
All right, my number 2 song, which I sent you on Slack, Damiani. I don't know if you saw it, but this will probably surprise some people. I'll vamp for a second so Damiani can find it. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't love this game, but I love this fucking song.
I don't know if I can play this. Yeah,
Last of Us 2 theme song with the banjo. I love that song. It's so good. Just like, yeah, really good. Really good song. I just really love it. The mood of it is perfect. Yeah, just, I don't know, real good. And of course, my number 1 song, you gotta know this was coming. It's the damn shop closing theme from Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That is the best song of the year, in my opinion.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
It's so beautiful and like sad, but
easy to miss.
Hopeful and easy to miss. I like had never heard it in game.
Me neither. Yeah, you introduced me
until
to it.
Sophia introduced me to it, and then it's just I don't know. Like Sophia and I will just sit there and like listen to it, and like it's just so emotional. It's like the end of Ratatouille or something. Yeah, and the way it kind of like inverts the shop theme is really cool and smart. I don't know. I love the music in this game. Kind of wholesale. It's real good. Yeah, them's my PX.
Nice.
Bloodworth, you want to rattle off our collective personal picks, the games that we kind
Our
of knew weren't going to
collective
win anything?
Honorable
mentions?
mentions. Yeah. Yeah, so basically these are games that we thought, were worth giving a nod to, worth giving some kind of props to, but really just for whatever reason didn't make it into our nominees, didn't fit into categories in some ways. That may be because, there just wasn't enough in a category that we had played to make a category of it. But yeah, here's a running list that we've got.
Real quick, are we just like rattling them off, or should we say something real quick, or
Like just maybe for ones we haven't mentioned before.
I can say it and then
Okay.
pause for a second if somebody wants to say something about it. Yeah.
I think that's a great idea, Blood.
Yeah. Dreams.
I made my peace. I love your dreams.
Shout out
Keep
to
on
the
going.
story mode.
Keep
It's
surviving.
really good.
Yeah.
Grand Blue Fantasy Versus.
Yeah, so we didn't have a fighting game category this year, and so Grand Blue was hard to fit somewhere, but I had a lot of fun with this game. As Ark has been doing it lately, it is gorgeous. I really like how it kind of approaches fighting games from the perspective of a new player and getting people in. I think the characters are wonderful. Shout out.
Shout out.
Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2.
Fuck yeah. The game's sick.
More.
Yeah.
Else you gotta know.
That
It's,
was
it's
perfect,
good.
Brad.
Yup.
Quote them.
Straight up.
Microsoft Flight Simulator, which we
So special.
denied giving the best strategy game to.
Yeah,
But,
I guess. Yeah. You will crash the first time you try to fly. You just will. There's no way. It's like the first
Yeah.
boss in a Souls game. Like you're just that you
It
haven't
is-
played. Like
It is the
you're going to
most
die.
amazing video game that is entirely over my head.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Our spoiler mode was 2 hours long.
Mhm, yeah, check that out.
We played it. We loved it. But
Check out that spoiler
we're not.
mode.
Ubisoft, we're not awarding you for this one. We're not going to do it.
Which is weird because it's one of my
your
favorites in the
sales?
entire series. It's just bizarre. The idea of a sequel being better, but it getting less credit because it's a sequel. It's something I try to wrestle with, and I just can't understand it personally. It's weird.
Brad's in the
Desperados
Nexus now.
3.
Just like,
Gave a
I
little
think
bit
I'll
of love
finish it.
to.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
Desperados
only played
3
the
is
first
so
2
good.
levels, but man,
Jones, it's like
So
you
clean.
game.
I know,
You gotta
I know.
play this thing.
I know. It's very clean.
It's
like
So
that.
Mario.
accessible. That game's so accessible. Desperados.
Will Blood get through one of these without being talked?
Well, I can never tell with Hubert. It sounds like
Yeah.
everything's done, and then
Yeah.
as soon as I
That's
open my
Huber's
mouth.
special power.
there.
It's
yeah.
never done. It's never done.
Mario Kart Live Home Circuit.
I did a really fun, easy update on this. Check it out. This is a cute, surprising. Like I thought that this would be a crappy gimmick, and it's a functional gimmick, a surprisingly functional gimmick. That's fun for at least an hour. So yeah, if you have kids, and especially if you got 2 of them somehow, I could see this being, and you had a big enough house where you could actually play the damn thing effectively.
And pets.
I could see this being a
Pets are a
huge
win.
hit. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, dogs
Chase
and
those
cats,
Yeah.
living together, mass hysteria.
And I totally I just appreciate the innovation and execution paired together on this. The fact that this thing exists at all is pretty amazing to me.
Yeah, and then it works as well as it does.
Another one for Ian, Grindstone.
Yeah, I mentioned in my personal picks. If you like cute little, it's sort of a roguelike, kind of match game where you have a sword and you kill the monster jewels instead of try to just get them. I don't know. It's a fun game. It's cool.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE Encore.
Yeah, this game is really weird as a mashup between two very beloved franchises. It kind of went off and did its own thing, and I think it has some great combat and some great characters. If you are willing to accept some anime bullshit in your JRPGs.
Ghost Runner.
Hell yeah. Game's sick. Check it out, man. It's a lot of fun. Not too long. Ends at just a great time. Nice little burst of adrenaline every time you play it.
Check it out.
Also on games that are way over my head. Crusader Kings 3.
Yeah, dude. This game is complex.
Yeah, I played a tiny bit of this, and it was very intriguing.
Yeah.
Stories.
It's really cool. I want to jump into it more. I just don't have the hours and hours and hours. But yeah, it looks cool.
And then the last minute edition of the completion of Kentucky Route Zero.
I just threw it on there because chat reminded me earlier that it definitely deserves an official honorable mention, I thought. Because it finished this year, and that game has been with me for... how many years have they been working on it? 10? Something like that? 11? 12? 7 at least?
Ian, I remember talking to you about it when we worked at original game trailers.
Yeah, we were
Viacom.
Yeah.
we were in
Oh, yeah.
OG building Santa Monica Viacom, Kentucky Route Zero, and yeah, and like speaking of favorite songs, like some of my favorite video game songs of all time have come from Kentucky Route Zero. So, yeah, and Spiritfarer. We
Ooh,
should
yeah.
honorable mention Spiritfarer,
Sure.
Blood. You have to say it or it
Yeah,
doesn't
not made
count.
time for it.
Spiritfarer.
There it is.
Okay,
Nice.
yeah.
My number
Spiritfarer.
one omission I wanted to play.
I played a good number of hours of it. I didn't finish it, but I really liked it. It's really
Yeah, would that
really
be
charming.
platformer? Sim?
No.
It's like a lot of
Adventure.
weird things.
It has platforming, but it's not the focus. It's
Yeah.
more
Feels
of
kind of more like
a-
an adventure game, I guess.
It's like an adventure game slash the sim.
Some resource management, and yeah.
Yeah.
I watched Amanda play it, but yeah, she liked it.
I apologize to Blood. Just two quick shout outs that I think bear mention. Did not finish either of these, but Wasteland 3, I really enjoyed what I played of it. Really liked the combat and just the different like weird things that you can evolve in, like weird science. That was fun. I enjoyed the dark humor. Not sure if I already mentioned that, but shout out to Wasteland 3. And Persona 5 Royal, which I did not finish, but a lot of changes to that game that felt very meaningful that I enjoyed.
Yeah, those are good shout-outs.
Good games.
Oh, I have to officially say them. So, Wasteland 3 and Persona 5 Royal.
Woo! And to make it super official, our patron game of the year. Do we have the numbers? Do we
Gotta
have
bring
the
that up.
totals?
So
I want
Thank
max
you, everyone that
drama. I want.
participated.
well, I mean,
want-
the results are public because Patreon doesn't have a way to let you mask the results.
I want maximum drama,
We'll,
Damiani.
we'll maybe look
Yeah,
into a
we
way.
don't know him. I didn't look.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
don't
don't
look at
know
chat.
them.
I don't
You
know.
don't know
Yeah.
them.
Those in your
I don't
chat?
know him.
You don't know them. I will reveal one very intriguing thing. This would be the clickbait headline.
Oh.
Nice.
Once I get down to it. So, okay, so our 2020 Easy Allies Patron Game of the Year poll closed at 6 p.m. Pacific time, a little over 2 hours ago.
Do we have a ranking or just the winner?
So I'll go in reverse order. We had one,
Perfect.
Explain.
2, 3, 4, 5 games
Nice.
tied with for last whatever place that is with 3%. Our 3% getters were Yakuza Like a Dragon, Persona 5 Royal, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, Doom Eternal, and 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. So those
I'm
came
surprised
in
by
like
some of those.
10 through
Yeah.
6 right there. Those are your
Those
your
are at
bottom
3%,
5. Yeah, 3%. Coming in at 4%.
Oof.
So this would be the fifth place finish, I believe, is Half-Life Alyx.
Wow.
And now to reveal the stunning thing, there were 2 games that tied for the 10th spot that barely made the cut. Half-Life Alyx and Yakuza Like a Dragon were those 2 games that tied for the 10th spot. Our Goaty almost didn't even make the nominee list for
because we had
the
11
patron.
games. We
Yeah.
had 11 games they could choose from, right?
Right.
Yep. They both had the exact same number of votes. So, yeah, Half-Life Alyx with 4%. Then next up with 5% of the vote, Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Nice.
A lot of
Nice.
the winner's gonna have a lot of pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of
Yeah,
percentage to
there's-
go around here.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a
hell?
lot of percentages. Yeah.
So sorry, that was 11 through 7, then 6, 5. So I believe this is number 4. So 4th place with 8% is Ghost of Tsushima.
Huh.
Wow, nice.
Nice.
In 3rd place with 13% of the vote, Hades.
Nice.
All right.
Feels good.
In
Feels
2nd place with 24% of the vote, The Last of Us Part 2.
good. Oh.
Tracks.
Yes.
Okay.
And our winner with 31% of the vote, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Hey.
Yeah.
A
Good
win
job,
for
patrons.
anime.
Wow.
Yeah.
Win for anime.
Good job, patrons.
That's
For
on
sure.
Easy A brand right there.
That's
Yeah.
That feels right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Excellent.
Yep.
The
Yep.
goddesses. Let's get some goddesses in chat.
That it does. I can see like a sticker, like endorsed by Easy Allies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feels good. Feels good.
That feels good. Hey, it won our
Well,
best RPG of the year for sure.
It did.
Mm-hmm.
And
Giving
remake.
awards to that game.
The only
music.
issue with sharing a
So
link
many goddesses.
is if the link gets out to anyone else, we have no way of tracking if people are voting who aren't patrons. So we can have
Oh,
that discussion at
right.
some point. Whether the community doesn't mind that, or would rather just risk that for the name of, and sake of having the results
Can't do
private
patron-only
until the reveal.
polls?
But yeah, we need to bug Patreon about like
We
hiding
really
poll
do.
results. Like that seems like
Yeah.
such an easy thing to switch on and like a toggle option. Jeez.
Thank
Also,
you for
like-
participating regardless.
Make it so that people's comments don't disappear sometimes.
You know,
Yeah.
there's a list of potential issues. And thank you for enjoying our goaties, folks. Thanks. Well done, allies. That is
Hopefully
it.
you
That is
did
our-
enjoy them.
We got
We did it.
We had our
It's been
deliberations
more than 12 hours
Awards
since we
video.
started this morning.
picks.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
so much to the mods. It's been a hell of a day.
Thank you, mods.
Thank you, mods.
Yeah,
Thank
huge
you.
thank you to the mods.
Thanks,
Definitely.
Damiani, for waking up
For
early
streaming
and
a
hitting
ton
play
today.
on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Damiani, shout out.
Running
Good,
Shout out,
good
Damiani.
call outs.
It was a
Shout
fun
out to our-
handoff to Bloodworth. I did deliberations and handed him the video, and he drove it in and uploaded
Yeah.
it. And Ian for packaging that together.
Yeah, thank you for the edit, Ian.
It was
Hey.
my pleasure. It was one of the more fun edits of the year.
Always-
They're all fun. But
What a good year to celebrate. Rough year to live through, but good year of games. And yeah, do we want to talk about what's our next stream? We did predictions.
Dark
Are
Souls
we gonna-
3 tomorrow, baby. Let's
are
go,
we playing-
Damiani.
We playing a video game for our next group
We
stream?
were jumping ahead.
That's
was-
what we're doing.
That was intense.
I'm so excited.
So
yeah,
we're
Yeah, Damiani is hyping it.
This-
skipping
this
Scott
is-
Pilgrim. No,
This is news to me. Are we? Yeah.
We
we're
got
not-
you're not doing Scott Pilgrim tomorrow?
Yeah, wait a minute.
That's
You
right.
were,
Right.
making,
You
you
guys
were
did
making
schedule Scott
announcements.
Pilgrim.
Yeah, you
guess
were
we're-
making
yeah, I guess
announcements.
Scott Pilgrim. You-
I guess we're taking a break. I don't know. I guess
So funny. So funny.
Apparently, the online doesn't work very well, so we'll try it. If it stinks, we go to Dark Souls.
All
Right.
right.
That's what you do.
We gotta
Yeah,
finish. We gotta
we'll
finish
see.
those DLCs, baby. Invested.
before that, at 10 a.m., the Gen That Was 2018 goes public.
Yeah.
Damn.
Talking about good years.
Patrons.
That's
Oh
good.
yeah. Oh, 2018 is ridiculous.
That's a really good year.
Patrons will get Fiasconauts tonight or tomorrow. Whenever we got to decide when is best to put it up because I forgot Gen That Was is going public tomorrow morning.
But and then that Fiasconauts will go up on Friday at 10 a.m.
Public, yeah.
And then Huber Syndrome is at 10 on Thursday, followed by our monthly Q&A at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And then I got to get my blood pack put together for this Saturday. And then we got the podcast. We got the easy updates on the weekend. Frame Trap
Oh,
on Monday.
real good easy update this time. I'm almost done cutting it. Real treat, real special treat this time.
Nice.
Really
And
good clip title from Atoshi. Huber making aggressive announcement.
Nice.
I didn't even, I was just excited. Damiani
What's
said
funny
one of his favorite
is that
games of the
clip,
year.
like out of context, could be anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Happens like 3 times a day.
Stay tuned
Yeah.
until tomorrow when Hero will make an aggressive
And
I
then
wonder if there'll be
we'd
time to-
planned to do Hitman 3 next week, but I don't know if people are still down
Yo.
for that since we did it yesterday. But
Don't sleep on Hitman 3.
Yeah, Damiani, hype.
Nice. Okay.
Second level.
Yeah, it's
So
so cool.
I could spend a month in that level.
Yeah. Yeah, the setup for the second level is really, really cool.
yeah, so that
Shout
sounds like
out.
people might be down for more Hitman. So there
Yes.
I should try to play through that before next week.
you go.
I might try to find time because Thursday, a bunch of the new Magic the Gathering block comes out.
Oh, nice.
I might try to find time. Maybe Sophia and I'll stream something of that.
I still want to make a Godzilla deck in Magic.
I made a couple of those. They're pretty fun.
Yeah.
Luminous Broodmoth. The Mothra card is pretty nuts.
Nice. I don't think I've seen that one.
Luminous Broodmoth. Is that it?
This
What's
is
up for
very funny
announcements that
to
I know
me. Kyle played some Hitman 3. Kyle is at 64 kills after 4 missions.
Seems right.
Collateral damage.
What?
Yeah. Don and I are streaming on Monday, but we don't know what it is.
And 2021 starts right now. We're done playing those 2020 games, except for obviously that one game that we'll nominate for best 2020 game. 2020 game in our 2021 awards in 2022. Stay tuned.
I still have to send out the emails to everyone that won, so that's part of my day tomorrow.
Yeah.
As well as Brad's Cyber Shadow review that's coming up.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of Hitman, good review from Hero if you want to check that out. More coverage
Hell
continues
yeah.
from Easy Allies. Patreon.com/Easy Allies if you want to support us. Again, thanks to the mods and Damiani for streaming like all day today for everybody managing all that stuff. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for waiting for us to do Goaties after everyone else. We even later than Giant Bomb.
Well, not everybody. Dice announced
so-
their nominees today,
Nice.
right? And
that's
then
right. That's right.
Yeah, I don't know what
Second
GDC is
most
going to do.
integrity.
Right.
Easy Allies.
But of the cool kids. Thanks for watching, everybody.